Well, of course, it's a tremendous honor to be nominated with such a prestigious group. And these are all highly accomplished films. They are the best of the best. Look at this. You're looking at Princess. What's the Secret of Kells? These are all cartoons. I thought we got nominated like a real movie.
At the 2022 Academy Awards ceremony, the film Encanto, a musical fantasy by Disney, won the award for Best Animated Feature. The other nominations were Luca, a cute coming-of-age monster story from Pixar, Flea, an autobiographical drama by Vice Studios, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, a fast-paced sci-fi adventure from Sony, and Raya and the Last Dragon, a fantasy adventure film from Disney. Earlier that evening in the opening monologue, co-host Amy Schumer made a comment on this category. She stated that she hadn't seen the other nominations and only knew about Encanto because her child wanted to watch it many times. And just before the award was announced, the three presenters of Lily James, Naomi Scott, and Halle Berry also commented on how animation is less of a medium and more something that parents are forced to watch with their kids. This was a huge slap in the face to the animation medium, but more specifically, it was a slap in the face to the nomination of Flea. Flea is Amen Nawabi's coming-of-age story about being a refugee from Afghanistan and later coming to terms with his sexuality to marry his husband in the present. The film was so brilliantly profound, but it is not an easy watch for the dark depictions of the world. It's a film that flies in the face of the notion that animation is only something to keep your kids entertained. The Academy's lackluster attempt to joke about animation being just for kids would be depressing, if it weren't for the fact that this has been an issue for the longest time. The Best Animated Feature category is one of the youngest Oscar categories. It came about in 2002 as animated films became far more frequent. Previously, animated films were either reduced to having honorary awards, or sometimes breaking into a handful of categories. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, being one of the first animated feature films ever made, won an honorary award, as did the films of Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Toy Story. The few times that animation did receive legit nominations was for The Little Mermaid being nominated for Best Original Song, and Beauty and the Beast being nominated for Best Picture. There's been some speculation that the reasoning for creating the Best Animated Feature category was to keep animation out of the Best Picture category. And if this were true, it kind of failed because Pixar's Up and Toy Story 3 were both nominated for Best Animated Feature and Best Picture. The Best Animated Feature award is open to the entire Academy for voting with no specific branch targeted, and here is where things get a little messy. The problem with voting in this category is that often the voters will not see all the nominations, or just vote for whichever film their kids like the most. Even worse, the votes that were cast were often made by people who resorted to slandering films they had not seen. Scott Feinberg of The Hollywood Reporter surveyed 7 Academy members on their picks for Best Animated Feature at the 2015 Academy Awards. The nominations for that year were Big Hero 6, The Box Trolls, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Song of the Sea, and The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Here were their responses. Voter number 1 voted for Big Hero 6 and said, "If you can call anything a snub this year, it was the Lego Movie, which was one of the best movies of the year. I don't know what happened there, but it is inconceivable to me. Of the 5 they did nominate, my favorite is Big Hero 6, which was adorable and original." Voter number 2 voted for How to Train Your Dragon 2 and said, "Where's our Finding Nemo this year? It's not a very great group. I like Song of the Sea and The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, but I'm voting for How to Train Your Dragon 2, because it was superbly entertaining and works on most levels, although its story could be a little better." Voter number 3 abstained from voting and said, "I never got a chance to watch those screeners. There were so many films to watch and I just had to pick and choose." Voter number 4 voted for Big Hero 6 and said, "I loved Big Hero 6. Then I saw The Box Trolls and I thought the animation was great, but the movie didn't knock me out. I must admit that I have not seen How to Train Your Dragon 2, but I have seen Song of the Sea and The Tale of Princess Kaguya, both of which I loved very much. They were really unique. If I was just voting for animation, I'd have gone with Box Trolls, but since you have to consider everything, I went with Big Hero 6. Voter number 5 voted for Big Hero 6, and here's where things fly off the rails. The voters said, "I only watch the ones that my kids want to see, so I didn't see the box trolls. But I saw Big Hero 6, and I saw How to Train Your Dragon 2. We both connected to Big Hero 6. I just found it to be more satisfying." The biggest snub for me was Chris Miller and Phil Lord not getting in for the Lego Movie. When a movie is that successful and culturally hits all the right chords, and does that kind of box office, for that movie to not be in over these two obscure freaking Chinese fucking things that nobody ever freaking saw? That is my biggest bitch. Most people didn't even know what they were. How does that happen? That to me is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. For reference, the obscure Chinese films he was referring to are Song of the Sea and The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Neither of them are Chinese. Song of the Sea is Irish, and The Tale of the Princess Kaguya is Japanese. In fact, both films are pretty overt representations of their respective cultures that it's embarrassing how somebody could make that generalization. Of course, it's easy to make that generalization if you've never seen those films. Voter number 6 voted for Big Hero 6 and said, "I saw all 5. I like to sit down with my kids and watch them. We all loved Big Hero 6, and there was no discussion, no argument, no nothing. The kids watched that one 3 times. What does that tell you?" And voter number 7 abstained, simply stating, "Frankly, I didn't see any of them." I always try to keep these responses in mind whenever the winners for the Best Animated Feature are announced. It's why there was very little shock to me that at the 2021 awards, Pixar's Soul, which was a good but not great animated film, beat out Wolfwalkers, a far more impressive 2D animated film from Cartoon Saloon, which was the same studio behind Song of the Sea. I can't speculate on if the voters still think Cartoon Saloon is just one of those obscure Chinese animation studios that are not actually Chinese, but I do know how these films are pushed out to voters. Part of the push to get voters to vote for a particular film is not so much the quality of the film as the campaign around it. For your consideration campaigns are a big deal in trying to gain the attention of the voters, and the studios spend quite a bit of money to vie for the most eyeballs and votes. And the bigger the studio, the bigger the push. Given how much Disney already markets their animated films to a heavy degree, the For Your Consideration campaign only increases the already bursting notoriety even more. Just think about how many adverts you've seen for Encanto and how many you've seen for Flea. Did you even see any ads for Flea? Flea isn't even the most recent adult-oriented animated film to be nominated in this category. Previous years have seen such nominations as I Lost My Body, Isle of Dogs, and Loving Vincent. None of these films won. And you can't help but feel the voters in this category, mostly voting for the films their kids saw or just not being interested in animation, played a part in these films not winning the award. And to be completely fair here, Encanto is not a bad film. It is a great film with wonderful storytelling, beautiful animation, and great songs. But when comparing it to the animation innovations in The Mitchells vs. the Machines and the poignant drama of Flea, I didn't really feel like it was the better film. And sure, maybe some voters really did look closely at all the animated films and really did come to the conclusion that Encanto was the better film. But given the history of the voters in this category, and the twice admittance during the ceremony of this being a medium specifically targeted at kids more than adults, the bias is incredibly hard to shake. I know I'm preaching to the choir at this point, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but animation is not a kid-exclusive medium. Everything from the raunchy pictures of Ralph Bakshi to the surreal drama of Don Hertzfeldt has already illustrated this point. And yes, not every adult animated film is great, but there is a high enough volume that they're not anomalies. Also, by that same token, not all animation that is marketed at kids is explicitly intended for that demographic. Encanto is a great film, but not because it's a virtual babysitter. There is no shortage of animated films on streaming services to accomplish this. Encanto is a great film because it's about generational trauma and honesty about that trauma, and how that's a key factor in having a stable family household. It's a great film because the songs are catchy and exciting to watch, regardless of your age. It's a great film because the animation is just mesmerizingly exciting and colorful. And in a visual medium, that's a huge draw that isn't beholden to one audience more than the other. Encanto winning the Best Animated Feature award did not surprise me. It was my one for sure locked pick of the night for all the reasons that I mentioned. That type of voting seems as though it won't be changing for a long time. So the announcement of the obvious winner didn't really faze me. What did rub me the wrong way is the open admittance to animation still being a medium more for kids than adults. I mean, it hasn't been that strict with the demographic for many years. There's a lot of films you could watch, but I guess one place to start would be Flea. If you do watch Flea, you may find out for yourself why it's a great film, and a brilliant showcase of what animation can do beyond Disney movies.